Hold on, you won't believe what just happened between Remy Ma and Papoose. No, this isn't just any couple drama. During a moment that is now going viral on all platforms, Papoose, the man who supported Remy Ma through jail time and controversy, publicly humiliated her in front of everyone. By publicly humiliated, I mean that fans gasped. Family members were frozen. And Remy sources close to the scene reported that this explosive event occurred during what was supposed to be a private, family celebration but instead turned into a night of accusations, betrayal, and raw emotion. The energy changed quickly. One moment they were grinning for the cameras, the next voices were raised. The chairs were pushed back, and Remy couldn't even hold it together, shook her head, expressing confusion, heartbreak, and devastation. Papoose confronted Remy Ma about something he's kept buried for months, maybe even years, which made him question their entire marriage. When he finally let it out in front of friends, family, and fans, it sent shockwaves through the room. Phones were recording, and people were whispering. And you know what the reason for this rejection is? It's deep. It wasn't just a fight. The pictures are heartbreaking. The betrayal is deep. What happened to hip-hop's most unbreakable couple? How did it go from ride or die to done and denied in a matter of seconds? What was the last straw that made Papoose turn away from the woman? He once said he'd wait a lifetime for you better. Some say Remy fell to her knees, pleading, while others say she stormed out, sobbing uncontrollably. It was supposed to be a celebration, a private gathering with close family and close friends, a few cameras discreetly in the corner. Nothing extravagant, just love in the room. Remy Ma had planned it for weeks because she wanted to surprise Papoose and show him how much he still meant to her after everything. So buckle up, because the drama is about to unfold in ways none of us expected. Keep watching, because this is the kind of scandal that will have fans talking for years. The night started with music and laughter reverberating through their Bronx brownstone. The aroma of soul food wafting through the air, blending with soft ambi and muted conversations. Remy was glowing, wearing a sleek custom burgundy gown that perfectly hugged her figure, her hair styled in soft waves that cascaded down her shoulders. She believed that they had survived the ups and downs, the public scrutiny, and everything. But no one, not even Remy, saw what was coming. She appeared to be walking on air as her eyes darted around the room every few minutes, looking for Papoose. He was there, of course, always loyal, always present. But tonight something about his posture was off. He hardly touched his plate, his smile didn't reach his eyes, and he wasn't holding her hand like he usually would. He also made a tiny movement when she tried to put her arm around him for a candid photo. The room was quieted. The cameras were raised. Papoose looked up from his phone. Remy cleared her throat, and she smiled, her voice trembling slightly. But she pushed it down anyway because she had a surprise to reveal, a moment she had planned for months, and nothing, not even her husband's strange mood, was going to ruin it. We've been through a lot, and I know that things haven't always been perfect, but love, true love, perseveres and grows. Tonight, I just want to show everyone how fortunate I am to have someone who supported me when no one else would. There were polite claps and murmurs of agreement, but Papoose remained silent. Remy reached behind her and took a small velvet box from a nearby table, which she slowly opened. Inside a specially made. This is a small way of saying thank you, baby, for loving me when I didn't even love myself. Papoose stood up slowly, and all of the cameras in the room zoomed in, and then he said, "Stop, just stop, silence this whole thank you." The crowd gasped softly as the watch was engraved with "Forever Yours, Reminisced." It was beautiful, expensive, and thoughtful. She turned to him with tears already welling in her eyes. People looked at each other, and someone in the back murmured, "What the heck is happening? This performance isn't real, and I'm sick of acting like it is." Ree's hands trembled, and she tried to grin through the perplexity by tilting her head slightly. "What are you talking about?" "I'm talking about how you've been hiding things from me about how you put on this act in public. Like everything's fine, but behind closed doors you've changed, Remy, and not for the better." He stepped forward in a steady but cold voice, and he asked, "Are you really doing this here? Why don't you want to show the world how perfect?" Remy's breath caught in her throat. "We're right, so let's show them the truth as well." Gasps reverberated throughout the room, and the phone began recording. The silence shattered like ice, and Remy moved closer, her voice cracking. "Papa, don't think that this isn't you. You may be upset," but he cut her off. "Don't try to twist this. I've been holding this in for months, and I'm done. I can't fake it anymore. I'm not happy I gave you everything, changed for you, waited for you, and supported you through prison, scandals, and everything else. But you started treating me like an accessory, someone to post on Instagram whenever it's convenient, and you stopped seeing me." Long after she dropped the box, the watch hit the floor with a dull thud, and her lip trembled. "Now, that's not true. You're the only one I've ever trusted." He gazed into her pained eyes. "So why am I the last to learn about your covert meetings?" With easy, the room exploded. He dropped forks. Someone spilled wine, and one of Remy's cousins yelled, "A what?" Ree's face turned pale. "Which isn't what you think. I believe you were meeting up with your ex. I believe you lied to me for reasons you didn't feel the need to tell your husband, and I think I've had enough." He turned and started to walk toward the door, but she screamed and ran after him, pleading with him not to do this. He didn't stop, didn't turn around, and Remy broke down in tears in the middle of the room. The dress that had once given her a sense of strength now weighed her down like a burden, and her makeup trickled down her face and chest. Her manager muttered something about turning off the cameras as her world fell apart in front of flashing phones and silent guests, but the damage was already done. The betrayal wasn't just emotional, it was public. The video would be leaked within hours, and fans would take sides, blogs would speculate, and Remy would sit on the cold floor of her own house, breathless and broken, and suddenly, by herself. But what nobody knew, not even Papoose, was that Remy had secrets of her own that could alter everything. Remy Ma stayed motionless on the chilly floor, her designer heels twisted beneath her, and mascara running down her cheeks like the ink of a broken pen. The room, which had once been a place of music, joy, and unity, was now divided by the weight of what had just happened, and nobody dared to speak, not even the sound of glass clinking. "Rum, come on baby, let's get you up." Her cousin Top knelt next to her, trembling as she put a hand on Remy's shoulder. Her voice was barely audible, but Remy didn't move, and her thoughts were no longer in that room. Instead, they had spiraled into a cloud of tension, embarrassment, and secrets. It was too late, the damage was done, and she knew deep down that this wasn't just a fight, that this was the beginning of the end of the door. She should have told Papoose about the memories, mistakes, late-night texts, tearful confessions she never made. Private meetings, she thought, would remain hidden, and the face that kept flashing in her mind slammed outside. Papoose had left. Across the room, someone whispered into their phone, "Yo, he really left her, like in front of all of us. This ain't going to just blow over." As reality set in, the crowd started to feel a little panicked, because the footage taken tonight wouldn't remain private for long, and social media was already craving a scandal. And in just 20 minutes, the leaked video had gone viral on Twitter. It featured Remy clutching the box with hopeful eyes, and the next cut showed Papoose backing away, his jaw clenched, his voice blazing. The caption, "Papoose rejects Remy in front of everyone over alleged easy affair she breaks down," was already trending. Upstairs in her room, Remy gazed blankly into her vanity mirror. The gentle glow of the surrounding lights made her appear even more shattered. The image was strange. This wasn't the ferocious, indomitable woman that her admirers knew. Rather, it was a woman who was unraveling, despite Kayla, her assistant, trying to console her. Remy looked up slowly and said, "You had to say something, Rem. People are talking crazy online about you cheating." "Did I cheat, Kayla?" she said in a quiet voice. "Did you?" "It wasn't physical," she said, "but I can't say it was innocent either." It had begun innocently enough when she received a respectful, brief message from Adiamezi a few months prior, after seeing an interview in which she mentioned him in passing. However, it quickly spiraled into lengthy conversations about catching up in late-night meets at a studio for conversation. But Remy knew the energy wasn't platonic, and she was well aware that she ought to have told Papoose about it. "When he asked me if I was happy," Remy muttered, "no one's asked me that in years." Papoose assumed that Kayla shook her head. "But since he's your husband, you ought to have told him. I know that I didn't want to lose the one person who truly makes me feel seen." Kayla's when the phone buzzed violently. She checked the screen and gasped. "Girl, TMZ got the video front page, and they said, you'll officially split." Remy grabbed the phone out of her hand. Her heartbreak was broadcast to millions of fans, and the comments were flooded with everything from savage accusations to sympathy. Some were accusing Remy of entertaining her ex, while others were dragging Papoose for embarrassing her. When a war broke out online, Papoose was sitting in the back seat of a black SUV, with his face blank and his phone on silent. His manager Tone was sitting next to him, scrolling through Twitter. "You ain't going to say nothing, Papoose," he muttered. "But it's getting messy now. People twisting the story, saying you humiliated her." "But I didn't humiliate her," Papoose said in a firm voice, leaning forward. What's the next move was to lean his head back against the seat and close his eyes. "I need time," he said, but even as he said it, his heart wasn't still there. He hated seeing Remy like that, hated the pain in her voice. And most of all, he hated that he no longer trusted her. When trust is broken, love bleeds out with it back at home. When Remy finally came out of the room, her dress had been changed to a more casual one. But her face was still red, her eyes were puffy, and only her mother and her close family were left. She stepped forward, arms crossed, and asked, "Tell me the truth, baby, are you with that boy?" Remy hesitated, "But I swear, talking leads to feelings, and feelings lead to poor decisions." "You think Papoose hasn't been through enough already?" Remy whispered. "I didn't mean for any of this to happen." Her mother shook her head, saying, "Intentions don't fix broken marriages." Remy's actions caused the weight of it all to fall on her once more, forcing her to make a decision, hone up or spiral. She wasn't ready to give up just yet, saying, "I'm going to fight for him. I don't care what it takes, I'm going to fix this, even if he doesn't want to be. Fixed Ree's clenched jaw. Then I'll remind him why he ever loved me in the first place. She then picked up her phone and started typing. An hour later, a black and white photo of her and Papoose from Better Times appeared on Instagram. There was no caption, just a broken heart emoji, and fans flooded the comments section. Celebrities started to weigh in. But Papoose remained silent. Easy, the block captain revealed a mysterious Instagram story just 2 hours later. Sometimes you lose what you never had, and sometimes what you have isn't worth losing. People went crazy when they thought he was confirming the affair and calling for war. Remy saw the post and froze, her fingers hovering over her phone screen as she considered texting him. But she decided she needed to tell him to stop so she could handle this. But before she could, a notification appeared. And Papoose had gone live. The world immediately jumped in, and in less than 2 minutes, he was sitting in his home studio, the lighting dim and his voice heavy. I never wanted things to go this way, he started, but I suppose that's how it is with Remy. I sat up straight, and didn't leave Remy because if he looked straight into the camera and said, I still love that woman, I always will, but love without truth, that's a lie. He ended the live stream with a simple sentence that left the entire internet stunned. She isn't the only one with secrets in Remy's heart. I left because I've been feeling like a stranger in my own marriage. Then, the story took a completely different turn. What did he mean by that? What secrets was he hiding? Then, in the days that followed, shocking new names would be added to the mix. And Remy Ma would find herself fighting not only for her marriage, but also for her reputation. The world believed she was the villain. But what if she wasn't the only one playing a risky game because Papoose's words echoed like a gunshot in Remy Ma's chest? She ain't the only one with secrets. That fatal sentence had just blown the internet apart in less than an hour, with Papoose's secrets trending across all major platforms and Twitter on fire. Silence was about to burst open, and what he'd been keeping hidden could potentially turn the entire story on its head. Reaction videos were all over YouTube, and blogs had already shared screenshots from the live stream, breaking down every frame, expression, and potential hidden meaning. Remy was pacing, her heart hammering in her chest like a war drum. She hadn't even started to repair the damage from the first explosion, and now she had to deal with a second one that she hadn't anticipated. And what secret was it? Revenge? A bluff? Or had Papoose been hiding something all along? Kayla stormed into the living room with her phone, and Remy said, "We've got a problem. Someone just uploaded a blurry video of Papoose outside with another woman." And Remy's eyes widened when she grabbed the phone. The grainy dark footage was obviously taken from across the street. A tall, curly-haired woman wearing a leather jacket stood next to him outside an apartment building. They spoke for a while before she leaned in, and he didn't pull back. The screen went black, and Remy's knees gave out. She fell onto the couch, the phone slipping from her hands. No, that's not possible," she whispered, and Kayla sat next to her in shock. "You think he's been seeing her?" Remy shook her head, but her voice was weak. "He wouldn't do that, Pat," but her heart was screaming. However, a few moments later, she received another notification from a well-known hip-hop blog revealing that Papoose was moving on after being spotted with an unidentified woman following a shocking live stream. The betrayal felt like a dagger twisted in her stomach after everything she had been accused of. Remy couldn't sleep that night, tormented by memories and questions. Was this woman someone from the past or someone new? Had he been seeing her while acting broken over her? Worst of all, did this mean he'd already given up on them? The next morning, her team got together for a public humiliation, tears, and shame because he was actually the one with skeletons in his closet. "We need to release a statement at an urgent public relations meeting." Her manager insisted that people believe he is the victim and that you cheated. But what if he isn't? Kayla interrupted, and what if he has been playing the same game the entire time? Remy sat in silence until her phone buzzed again, sending a text from a blocked number. "You weren't the only one receiving attention from your past. She didn't give you a name or contact information," whispered. "He's punishing me." After staring at it for a long time, hours later, the mystery woman was revealed to be Kiara Monet, a backup dancer from one of Rhee's previous tours. She hadn't thought of the name in years, but now that she was trending to old pictures, Papoose and Kiara were standing. The tweet showed a clip from a 2022 podcast in which Kiara stated, "I've always had a thing for real men, loyal ones. The quiet ones you don't expect." The comments were vicious. Was she talking about Papoose this whole time? Remy got played by her own tour dancer. A few blurry photos from a 2020 Bet afterparty and too close backstage in 2019 seemed innocuous at the time. But now, every fan was doing the math. It's better than love and hip-hop. Therefore, this drama can't be phony. Remy stood in her kitchen. With her phone buzzing constantly and screaming, she threw the phone across the room, breaking it against the wall, saying, "This whole thing is a setup." He neff, you when her mother entered from the hallway. The truth that I made a mistake and am now the villain while he's out kissing dancers in alleyways is what you want me to accept. And her mother stepped closer. You're not the only one who's hurt. He stood by you through hell, and perhaps he's finished trying to be a saint. If you think that screaming will make this go away, you need to face it. Remy's eyes blazed. We need to talk, he sighed. Now you want to talk. I've been trying, she said, but you're too busy dropping light bombs and taking walks with backup dancers. I didn't mean for this to happen, she said, and her mother softened a little before fixing it before it was too late. Later that night, Remy did something nobody had anticipated. She called Papoose and it rang 5 times before he picked him up. This is jealousy now. I'm not jealous, she said, her voice cracking. I'm hurting, humiliated, and confused. Another pause. Where are you? She asked. Does it matter? It does because I need to look you in the face when I say what I'm about to say. The silence was lengthy this time. Then, he hung up and said, meet me tomorrow at noon, at the same studio where we shot the wedding video. When Remy arrived, the following day, the studio was deserted. It was the same studio where they had once shared a kiss, a laugh, and vows that were captured on camera for the world to see. Now, it felt like a ghost town filled with memories that were too painful to bear. Papoose was 10 minutes late, wearing black eyes, and she was exhausted. She got up when he entered, but he didn't smile, and she said, try the truth, not knowing what to say. She stared at him and asked, why did you do this to me? Why the public rejection? Why the live stream? Because I wanted you to feel it the most. I had someone follow you months ago, and she was amazed. I wanted to catch you, but all they saw was you talking late at night, crying, and possibly engaging in emotional cheating, but not the kind you can call adultery. She whispered, shame, second-guessing the betrayal that's evil, and he replied, that's pain. They stared at each other for what seemed like an eternity before she said, is Kiara real? He didn't respond right away, saying, she's not you. That's not an answer. No. Finally, he said, she's a distraction, a stupid one. Remy's shoulders dropped. So now we determine whether we're still us, or if all we are now are memories. The studio door sprang open before she could say anything. Kiara appeared in the doorway and exclaimed, you weren't answering my texts. Papoose, with her arms crossed, Ree's blood ran cold. She said, turned to her and asked, did he tell you that the night he left your party, he slept with me? Remy gasped, Chira, get out. Papoose face palled. Oh, now you want to act like I don't exist. Remy retreated, as if she had been slapped, and he attempted to explain that you had slept with her, but the words would not come out. Tiara smirked. The truth hurts her, and Remy's knees buckled. Not to give up on us, she whispered, and as soon as he left, you threw us away. Papa stepped toward her, Remy, but she raised a hand, saying, no, you made a choice. She left them both behind, leaving the Papoose waiting outside. She didn't flinch or cry yet, but the war had changed from being private to public, and it was only just beginning. The flashing lights outside the studio struck her like 1,000 daggers. Remy, is it true that you and Papoose are officially no longer together? Are the rumors of him cheating on you and your ex-dancer genuine? The block captain is the true reason for the breakup. Remy continued to walk while security pushed back cameras as questions came in like bullets, each one eroding her remaining strength. The moment she got to the SUV, the dam finally broke, and she slammed the door shut and started crying, the weight of it all falling on her in a wave of exhaustion and betrayal. He truly did it. He actually slept with Kiara. He made a decision just like that. Her jaw was clenched so tightly that she thought her teeth might crack, but inside she was screaming. Courtrooms that stood up for her when the world turned its back had thrown everything away over a night of retaliation and a bruised ego. The pain wasn't just from the cheating. It was from the public destruction of everything they'd built because he knew. She hadn't physically cheated but still chose to humiliate her. I was loyal, she whispered through clenched teeth, in ways he'll never understand. Back at home, her phone kept ringing, and Fat Joe had called twice, but Remy didn't respond. She had nothing left to say, only rage, and by nightfall, the blocks had exploded once more. Exclusive Kiro Monet confirms an intimate night with Papoose following Ree's party. Remy Ma leaves Papoose after a covert studio confrontation. Remy's revenge sources claim she intends to reveal everything. The internet was now completely engaged, with fans picking sides and analyzing old timelines after analyzing a 2018 post in which Papoose commended Remy for remaining faithful during his incarceration. The top remark, now look at him, can't even stay loyal through success, reappeared. The block captain shared a selfie with the remark, a real one never plays second. In the midst of everything being simple, Papoose posted a teaser clip on his Instagram for an upcoming interview with a major podcast. His face is serious, his voice is calm but cold, and people only see what's public. They don't know what happens in the dark or when you've been silenced in your own home for too long. The comment section went crazy. Is this about Remy? This man once smoked Papoose out to respond. Just watch and respond. He did. but not directly. Remy saw the post and almost broke her replacement phone. But he doesn't get to change the story. She growled. He cheated. He lied. He humiliated me. And now he's going to spin it like he's the victim. Kayla sat on the couch nearby, anxiously scrolling through Rem. If you're going to say that sometimes silence explodes. Remy's eyes were glassy with rage, and she said, I'm done being smart. I'm going to tell the truth, all of it. She grabbed her phone and dialed. The following day, Remy made an appearance on the Buzzer Room, a spicy gossip-heavy show known for its unfiltered celebrity interviews. The announcement was like a bombshell, and fans flocked to the live premiere. The teaser showed her sitting in a velvet chair with her hands folded across her face. When the entire interview aired, fans were incredulous because Remy didn't hold back and Papoose didn't just betray me. He weaponized my loyalty and took everything we built and set it on fire. The moment his ego was bruised, she revealed how he had been emotionally distant for more than a year. The interviewer leaned in and asked, Are you ready to tell your side? I believe the world deserves the truth because I stayed silent long enough. He wanted me to be perfect to play this role of the loyal wife, the public image of the queen to his king. But what happens when the queen starts bleeding? She added, referring to his refusal to provide psychotherapy, saying that black men don't need therapy. We need peace. He left me right away when she needed assistance since her voice cracked. She dropped a bombshell. But if we're talking about secrets, should I bring up that girl from Baltimore? The one before Kiara? The interviewer gasped and waited there. I stopped smiling when she asked about Easy Rummy. He paused, then nodded. He was there for me when Papoose wasn't. Did it go too far emotionally? I never touched him once. Before Kiara, Remy stared into the camera. There were signs and texts, but I chose to ignore them because I wanted to protect him. However, it's possible that I was only protecting the image. Because the internet went crazy when Remy exposes Boppo trended right away. Within an hour, Papoose team posted a brief statement denying the existence of the Baltimore woman, calling it a desperate attempt to divert attention from guilt. However, fans were already split. The drama had formally entered a new stage, and lines were established between teams Remy and Papoose. Meanwhile, Monet performed her own live stream while wearing a silk robe and sipping wine. She laughed for the most part, stating, Remy can say what she wants. However, I was in his arms while she sobbed in the kitchen. She wants to play, she said, so let's play. As she blew a kiss at the camera, game over Remy, who watched the tape without blinking. Kayla was anxious. Remy, are you certain that this is the path you wish to take? Remy turned to face her. Fiercely, he brought the world into our home behind her eyes. So now, I'm bringing the truth into his. That night, Remy went live with no makeup, no blame team, just raw, and she spoke fiercely into the camera and voiced calm eyes to the fans who have been asking, yes, our marriage is in crisis. And no, I'm not perfect, but I didn't lie. I didn't cheat. I didn't destroy anything. Handle me being harmed by a man who wanted to play victim while concealing his own agenda. The truth is, I still love him, but sometimes survival comes before love. She paused. Papa saying, I hope you find peace, but I won't beg for your love anymore. It's mine. She then ended the live stream and left, leaving a video that had received over 5 million views in 12 hours and was all over the internet. For the first time since the drama started, the world began to change, and Remy was no longer the antagonist but the survivor. However, just as things were starting to calm down, a voice note was leaked by an anonymous source and sent to a major gossip website. In the recording, Papoose is allegedly heard arguing with Kiara. Toke edits Twitter clips, think pieces, memes, rap blogs, and even mainstream outlets picked it up. The website posted it with the headline, Leaked Audio Papoose Threatens to Monet. This drama is out of control, and warned her to keep silent, saying that if she leaks anything else, I promise I'll bury your name in this industry. And suddenly, the tide shifted once more, and people began to demand answers. The image of Black was the sweet, devoted, and tranquil Papoose. The world had gone silent, but not peacefully, in anticipation of the leak, and Remy Ma wasn't done. Yet, love and loyalty were actually concealing a darker side. Although she didn't speak out, she was preparing herself because there was one last thing she hadn't shared. Something so explosive and deeply personal that it could change everything. Fans weren't just shocked, they were stunned, bewildered, and betrayed. The same man who stood like a rock during Romy's prison sentence, wearing his loyalty like a crown, was now being dragged across social media for his rage, his secrets, and his carefully maintained image. Papoose threatening Kiara's audio did what no live stream, Instagram post, or tearful breakdown could do. It broke the foundation of the man once thought to be hip-hop's most devoted husband. Disappeared. She wasn't reacting, commenting, or responding. The silence wasn't cowardice. Rather, it was a strategy because she wasn't hiding but rather creating a war room behind the scenes, with her closest allies surrounding her and assisting her in gathering receipts, screenshots, recordings, and timeline proof, a vault of hidden truths that she had previously been too dignified to use. Every headline presented a different version of the events, but none of them revealed the whole truth. No one knew what Remy had witnessed firsthand, what she had forgiven behind closed doors, or how many nights she had kept quiet to uphold Papoose's legacy. Not out of love, but loyalty. But that was about to change when Remy Ma released an official statement. When the live stream started, over 1 million people were already waiting, including fans, enemies, media reactors, and old friends. She had no makeup, no entourage, and no background music, just Remy's face in the center of the frame. She speaks live at 8:00 p.m., with no preview, no clips, no warnings, just a promise of truth. The years of gaslighting, emotional withdrawal, private accusations, and public disrespect had only been the surface. Underneath was a timeline of betrayals that began long before Easy, long before Kiara, but she had kept it hidden by choosing silence over spectacle, loyalty over exposure. Her calm eyes were sharp, as if she had already grieved what she was about to bury. The truth unraveled like wildfire, weaponized against her by exposing the existence of several women Papoose had been seeing behind closed doors. Not rumors, contacts, interactions, and timelines. She also revealed patterns of behavior, receipts, and evidence that the man who was known for being devoted to the core had been balancing his private indulgences while denouncing hers. Finally, the drawer delivered the final blow, pulled a sealed envelope, set it on the table, and the atmosphere changed. What was inside wasn't just a scandal. It was the last straw in the black love goals myth. The paternity test inside the envelope confirmed Remy's long-held suspicion that Papoose had fathered a child with a woman other than his wife during their marriage, not during a breakup or a fight, but during a period when he was preaching loyalty on stage, in interviews, and on social media. Was national hypocrisy. The child concealed in the shadow of Papoose's public statements had been a ticking time bomb, and now it had gone off. The stream ended without any showmanship, farewells, or slogans, just a gradual fade to black. The fallout was devastating, and the hip-hop community was rocked to its foundation. Overnight hashtags went from hashtag #ProtectPapoose to hashtag Remy was right, and blogs were inundated with opinion pieces. The internet saw her breakdown for what it was, the unraveling of a woman who had kept more secrets than anyone should. Papoose's silence was deafening for someone who was always quick to post a response. He now disappeared from every feed, and his team released a weak, generic statement blaming miscommunication and personal challenges. But it was too late, declared its decision. Kiara, the woman who had previously flaunted her relationship with Papoose, deactivated all of her accounts, and her name became toxic. The screenshots showed her boasting about stealing a king from a queen, and with each post, the story became more intense. Even longtime allies started to distance themselves from Papoose, and his name was subtly removed from any future interviews. In contrast, Remy rose, like a phoenix from the ashes, released a freestyle that went viral for 3 days straight. It was raw, unapologetic, and full of lines that referenced everything without naming anyone. The fans knew, the culture knew that every bar was a reclaiming of her story, not just from Papoose, but from everyone. Cancelled the public, who had previously worshipped his image, now questioned every moment of it. Whoever attempted to define her abruptly found herself everywhere, not as the woman sobbing in a car, but as the one who exposed the double standard, the one who had been publicly humiliated but endured betrayal after betrayal in private. The one who, despite heartbreak, never played dirty until it was absolutely necessary. Her fanbase grew, and women from all over shared parallel experiences of private suffering and public shame. Become more significant than a celebrity split. It had become a cultural reckoning, and she didn't boast. There were no victory laps, follow-up interviews, or distractions. Instead, she let the truth speak for itself, because that's what it was all about from the start, not retaliation. Not fame, not sympathy. And as the drama came to a close, Papoose was spotted walking quietly into a Remy, on the other hand, was seen leaving a studio late at night with a hoodie up, headphones on, and an unconcerned expression. She had survived a fire, not because she was flawless, but because she suffered the loss of not only a partner, but also his identity and image. Legal building speculation about custody arrangements or possible divorce filings was growing. Remy had been the flawed wife in public, but when the curtain was pulled back, the roles were reversed. And now the world finally saw it, and there you have it, the shocking unraveling of a love story that the world once thought was unbreakable. She never pretended to be Papoose, who had been the perfect husband on paper. Remy Ma remained steadfast despite her injuries. But Papoose's reputation deteriorated under the weight of his personal secrets. The masks have crumbled, the truth has been revealed, and finally, the silence has been broken. But we still want to hear from you. Was it right of Remy to remain silent for so long? Did Papoose deserve the reputation he once had? And how do we proceed when even the most resilient marriages break up? Please share your remarks in the space provided below, without any filters or restrictions. For Team Remy or Team Who Are You Really On, Papoose. And if you thought this narrative was crazy, just there's more where that came from. So be sure to turn on, like and subscribe your bell to ensure that you don't miss any more spectacular moments, because in this, nothing remains buried for very long in the realm of celebrity, betrayal, and hidden facts. This is your chance to participate in the discussion. Let's create some noise. See you at the next one.